DayZ isn't just another survival game, it's one of gaming's strangest success stories. A project that shouldn't have worked, broke almost every system it touched, collapsed under its own ambition, and still refused to die. What started as an Arma 2 mod exploded into a cultural phenomenon, then stumbled through one of the most chaotic development cycles the genre has ever seen. Most games don't survive that kind of turmoil. DayZ did, and came back stronger. This is the rise, the fall, and the unexpected return of a game that reshaped survival gaming by accident. DayZ began as a side project built by Dean Hall on top of Arma 2, a military simulator with systems that were never meant to handle zombies, hunger, or a living open world. Its AI assumed slow, tactical soldiers. Its physics barely understood basic movement. Even simple animations broke the moment you pushed the engine outside its narrow combat sandbox. So when DayZ forced Arma into becoming a survival game, everything bent and snapped in unpredictable ways.
Clip into him. And I do exactly that. He comes up the stairs, I shoot him, he kind of lags.
Zombies zigzag like broken pathing experiments, ladders folded players in half, and a 2-inch fall could shatter your legs.
Wait, what?
People joked survivors were immune to all of the effects of the virus except osteoporosis. Survivors weren't just fighting the undead, they were fighting the engine. But the chaos created something no other game had. The humanity system marked murderers as bandits on sight, the debug monitor turned every kill into a permanent record, permadeath gave every encounter real weight. Hero or bandit wasn't a gimmick, it defined how players treated each other. DayZ didn't just hook people with polish, it hooked them with tension, mistrust, and stories that felt completely unrepeatable.
You're one of the crazy ones, huh?
By 2012 to 2013, the mod had pulled in more than 1 million unique players, an extraordinary number for something built on a military sim, held together by duct tape. DayZ didn't explode because of marketing, it exploded because YouTube turned it into a storytelling machine. Frankie on PC transformed random encounters into cinematic dramas.
Oh crap. Hello?
Put your hands up. Are you sure?
No?
Mr. Moon treated the game like a stage.
It's been 7 days since I've seen a living person.
What do I call you?
You can call me Mr. Moon.
Kiwo, Mr. Blackout, Jack Frags, Bert Trip, and the ZF crew, including Soviet Womble, showed a side of DayZ no trailer could ever capture. Real, unpredictable human interaction. These videos spread because they felt unscripted and authentic. Hostage situations, betrayals,
I appreciate that. You know that, homie. Take it easy. You too.
awkward friendships, tense standoffs. Viewers weren't watching gameplay, they were watching people under pressure. Every clip felt like a short film. For many players, it just took one moment, a single viral encounter, like the Running Man Z getting held up by 3 ghillies, and they were hooked. DayZ grew through stories, one video at a time. If you'd like to support this channel's journey and see more deep dives like this, consider subscribing. It genuinely does a lot and makes a huge difference for a small creator like me. Thank you. DayZ's success didn't just make a popular mod, it helped define an entirely new category of games. Before DayZ, open world survival sandboxes existed, but none mixed scarcity, tension, and unpredictable player interaction the way this mod did. Its design created a social ecosystem that no studio had intentionally built before. Other developers tried to replicate the formula, but most missed what made DayZ work. The volatility of human behavior. No script could match the drama that emerged naturally when players had nothing, trusted no one, and had nothing to lose. When Bohemia decided to turn the DayZ mod into a full standalone game, expectations skyrocketed. Dean Hall originally planned to release an early alpha by the end of 2012, essentially a cleaner, more stable version of the mod running on Arma's tech. Players expected a quick turnaround and a fast evolution, but once development began, the team hit a hard reality. The game they wanted to build, and the game the old engine could actually support, were nowhere near the same thing. Arma's foundation carried too many limitations. This created a decision point that would define the entire project. They could ship something fast, knowing it would be limited and fragile, or rebuild the game from the ground up and make the version of DayZ that they actually believed in. They chose the rebuild, and that choice set the stage for years of complicated development that followed.
The core parts of DayZ aren't expensive. A lot of the development work was already done with the Arma engine. A lot of people criticize it, the Arma engine as not being appropriate, but I think that it does what it does very well, and we can take that and build our platform from it.
Once the rebuild path was chosen, development slowed to a crawl, features slipped, roadmaps shifted, and each update revealed how much of the original mod had to be reinvented. The early alpha release in 2013 was intentionally bare bones, not because the team lacked ambition, but because Hall wanted to test how players reacted to pressure, loss, and uncertainty.
That's why I think for us, focusing on the survival and the immersion elements are really the two most important things for us. So yeah, it's just keeping really true to that hardcore survival, that hardcore permadeath, because that's kind of what DayZ is.
He wasn't just chasing traditional game loops, he wanted a world where every decision carried emotional weight. Quote, "The power of loss is the most powerful vector of DayZ," but this approach created constant friction. Hall eventually stepped away from DayZ in 2014, years before the major engine rewrite would fully materialize. His departure marked a turning point. The idea behind DayZ was enormous. The execution was complicated, messy, and slower than anyone expected. By the time work on the 0.63 update was underway, DayZ had reached the point where incremental fixes were no longer enough. The old real virtuality framework simply couldn't support the systems the team needed. Too many core mechanics were held together by legacy code from a military simulator. The solution wasn't a patch, it was a reconstruction. Update 0.63, revealed publicly in 2018, marked the shift into Enfusion technology. It introduced a new player controller, a complete animation overhaul, new physics, new UI, and the groundwork for systems that DayZ had never been able to support before. Years of work were effectively restarted on a new foundation. DayZ also transitioned to a proper client-server architecture to fight hacking and exploit issues. This made many older systems impossible to carry over, widening the gap between what the game used to be and what it needed to become. The community split sharply. Some saw the rewrite as a disaster that erased years of content and momentum. Others argued it was the only realistic path forward, the difference between DayZ limping into obscurity and DayZ having a future. Later controversies, including the debate over RackNet and network decisions, deepened those disagreements, but the direction remained the same. DayZ was committing fully to Enfusion. The rewrite wasn't a reset for the sake of change, it was the only way the game could survive. The rebuild years produced some of the most famous moments in DayZ's history. Each update pushed the new foundation forward, but the side effects were unpredictable. Systems behaved differently than expected. Old assumptions broke, and new bugs appeared that no one would have predicted. There was the loot explosion, a single point on the map spawning hundreds of items, turning parts of Chernarus into chaotic piles of gear. It wrecked balance but became one of the funniest bugs the game ever had. Then came the overheating era, where players overheated almost instantly, diving into ponds just to cool off. Other updates brought physics issues, animation bugs, vehicle instability, and desync that made every encounter feel uncertain. DayZ wasn't failing because players stopped caring, it was struggling because the rebuild required years of foundational work that left the game in a half-finished state for far longer than anyone expected. The game wasn't dying from lack of interest, it was dying from the weight of the technology it was trying to escape. After years of friction, the game finally began to stabilize. The Enfusion Foundation matured, systems stopped collapsing under their own weight, and DayZ slowly shifted from a technical experiment into a functioning survival game again. Performance improved, features returned, and updates felt less like controlled chaos and more like real progress. Despite the development turmoil, DayZ had already passed 3 million sales by 2016, a clear sign that the interest never fully disappeared. Bohemia expanded the team, pushed the game onto consoles, and continued phasing out the last remnants of the old Arma tech. Piece by piece, DayZ was becoming the game it was supposed to be. Then modding came back in force. Expansions, Namalsk, hardcore survival overhauls, and modern server frameworks revitalized the community. Modders rebuilt the spirit of the original mod while adding depth the old engine could never have supported. Stability didn't just fix DayZ, it opened the door for a second renaissance. What ultimately kept DayZ alive wasn't a marketing push or a sudden burst of updates. It was the community's refusal to let the game die. Servers like Doug, The Village, and countless modded communities kept the world populated even during the game's lowest points. Longtime content creators continued making videos and streams, showcasing the unpredictable encounters that made DayZ special. New players kept discovering the game, feeding fresh energy into a world that should have died multiple times over. Most games collapsed long before reaching this stage. DayZ survived because its players were invested not just in the mechanics, but the stories the game generated. Stories that mattered enough to keep people coming back. DayZ's resurgence didn't just happen overnight, it built slowly, fed by a steady stream of new players, returning veterans, and creators who showed that the game could be on modern tech. As performance stabilized and updates became more consistent, the community's confidence returned. The same unscripted human tension that fueled the game's rise a decade earlier was suddenly everywhere again. Console players expanded the audience even further, giving DayZ a presence across platforms it had never reached in its early years. Fresh creators emerged with new styles, new stories, and new ways to showcase the game's unique social chaos. What began as a slow rebuild turned into a genuine revival. DayZ wasn't just surviving anymore, it was climbing back into relevance. Today, DayZ is more stable, more supported, and more active than at any point in its history. The game runs on a modern foundation, updates arrive consistently, and the community is larger and more diverse than ever. But despite all the improvements, DayZ has never lost the core identity that made it stand out in the first place. It is still unpredictable, still human, still capable of producing stories no scripted game can match. Every encounter carries weight, every decision feels risky, and every interaction has the potential to become a memory players talk about for years. DayZ didn't just endure because it was polished, or because it followed a perfect development roadmap. It endured because nothing else captures the same mix of tension, fragility, and human drama. After everything, the rise, the collapse, the rebuild, DayZ remains one of the most unique survival games ever made, and is still creating the kinds of stories that brought players to it in the first place.